Good morning, it's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day. This is a beautiful shell that another designer gave me as a gift years ago, and it sits by my front door here in Chula Vista in this east-facing courtyard. So in the morning until about 12 o'clock, it's in shade, but it gets a lot of hot afternoon sun. And I have been so blown away by this bromeliad that is in amongst all of these succulents. Bromeliads, as you know, are tropical. There's over 2,800 varieties of bromeliads in the world, and they are monocots, meaning that like aeoniums, after they bloom, they die. This plant typically loves the shade, doesn't it? This is a plant that you wouldn't think would do well in the sun, but it has thrived. Look at the color. This bromeliad has had this intense, vibrant color. Well, it's been in this shell for years, and it doesn't seem to matter whether it's summer, fall, winter, or spring. It's gorgeous and colorful. It makes me want to talk to you about compatibles. You've heard me mention succulents and compatible plants. A bromeliad is not a succulent, but it is a compatible. As you can see here, it is thriving in close proximity with the succulents. This shell does not have any drainage. I slop water on this arrangement depending on the time of the year, maybe once a week with the hose, just kind of go over it. It's doing fantastic, as you can see. If you want to work with bromeliads, with succulents, I would suggest trying a test. Not all bromeliads are going to have this kind of success in the sun, but obviously some are. So choose a bromeliad. Remember, they like to be kept moist, and they like to be watered at the crown, but they don't like to stand in water. They need to dry out in between or they can rot, much like a succulent. One thing that I noticed about this arrangement, which by the way I haven't touched in, I can't even remember the last time, is it is looking a little leggy, isn't it? We have a little crassula here that has lost its tip and bloomed, and the bloom is all brown and dead. I've got some little apple snap here that's starting to get a little disproportionate. This is actually Senecio Dakari. This is orange puffs. This is a plant that gets as big as an SUV, and look at it here in my little shell. I obviously worked with it as a cutting, so it has stayed very small, but it is starting to get a little leggy. You'll notice that I also have Tillandsias growing in this shell. Tillandsia is tropical, much like this bromeliad. I wanted to experiment with Tillandsias, which you know are air plants, and I wanted to try planting them in a soil medium in the ground as opposed to hanging them from a tree. Seems to be working out just fine. There is soil in this shell, and the Tillandsias, they're in there. I mean, it's figured it out somehow, because it's stuck. It's not coming out. It's absolutely beautiful. I also have, can you see this? Where is it? This is Hoya. Oh, isn't that pretty? This is another, sort of succulent, but really kind of prefers a lot of shade. But for whatever reason, this little Hoya is thriving here in the sun too. So one thing that I would have to say about this arrangement is that I would like to trim it down. Now, you know how I'm always saying pull things out? I don't want to pull things out of this because ultimately I like the way it looks, and I don't want to disrupt the plants that are working out. So I am just going to cut back in this case. I'm going to take and cut back hard. Now I can take this and I can set it in a pot in the garden of death, and I can reroot it and grow it as another plant. I can even take the little leaves because they're so full of water, and I can set them in a soil medium and they will root and grow plantlets right from the leaves. So this is a great candidate for propagation. The little apple snaps, I'm going to cut them back hard too because they're just looking a little disproportionate. Now I can take these pieces that I've cut And I can set them, you know, back in the arrangement. I can set them in another arrangement. I can do whatever I want with these. Where I have cut in this shell, we are going to have rooting come from, or I should say branching come from beneath the cut. So there's no problem as far as the aesthetics go with this. I can't see where I've cut it. I'll get little branches. All is well. I did find some color in another part of the garden, and I'm going to just tuck in the color. And you know what? You don't even really need the succulent to hit soil. I'm kind of just popping these in here. They're not even making contact with the soil, but you know what'll happen is the succulents will root. They'll figure it out. They'll find that soil, no problem. Here's a really pretty piece of variegated crassula. Tuck that in right here next to the Tillandsia. So I'm pulling in some pops of color. I've taken some cuttings that I can apply in other areas of the garden. I really want to encourage you to consider working with compatibles, plants that work and thrive with succulents. Also, today is Saturday, and it is the San Diego Master Gardener Fall Plant Extravaganza. So if you're looking for something really fun to do, head on down to Balboa Park to the Prado in room 101, and between the hours of 9 and 3 this afternoon, there will be over 150 plant doctors or master gardeners that can answer any of your horticultural questions, and there are going to be plants available at bargain prices that have been propagated and grown by master gardeners throughout the year to make available to you today for sale, and lots of succulents. This has been Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity, reporting in my courtyard in Chula Vista, California, with your succulent tip of the day.